Hello everyone, today I'll be reviewing Gaslight. So Gaslight came out in 1944 and was directed by George Cukor and stars Charles Boyer, Ingrid Bergman and Joseph Cotten, and this film kicks off in 1875 in Victorian London. So we see happen right at the start of the film, a woman is murdered at a house in Thornton Square in London, and the woman's house is left to her niece, who is played by Ingrid Bergman. She's called Paula, but she decides that she doesn't want to live in a house anymore, so she goes off away to Europe. And later on, she meets her future husband, played by Charles Boyer, Gregory Anton, his name is, and they later get married. So most of the film is actually set 10 years after the murder which took place. So we go to 1885 and Gregory and Paula, they decide that they want to move back to the house in Thornton Square where Paula's aunt was murdered. So they move back into the house, and as you can probably expect, strange things start to happen and strange events start to take place. So what we really see happen is Paula, she thinks she's starting to go crazy because certain things start to happen. So first of all, Gregory gives Paula a brooch and then she loses the brooch and she can't remember where she put it. Then Paula starts to hear strange noises coming from the house, and then she notices that some of the gas lights start to turn down a bit, and she asks everyone why it's happening, but it turns out she's the only one who can see this happening. And her husband is also really adding to the confusion because he keeps telling her things that apparently he already told her, and she can't remember him saying it. So he is really part of the driving force here. He is starting to make her go insane, and as things turn out, Paula really starts to believe she is going insane, and every time she's about to say something, she's starting to think, has she already said it or is she going crazy? Now we also get a good supporting cast in this film. We also get an early appearance by Angela Lansbury. She was only 18 years old in this film and she plays the maid, and she plays quite a different character to the other characters in this film because she has a Cockney accent and she comes across quite innocent and very young, so she's a welcome addition to the film. She's a fairly light-hearted character in this otherwise dark film as well. But Charles Boyer, he is very good in this film. He's we learn pretty soon that he has quite an evil side to him. He comes across as a fairly likable guy at the start, but then we can tell that he is very controlling over his wife Paula, and he certainly has a sinister side to him, which maybe not everybody else sees at first. But really the star of the show is Ingrid Bergman as Paula. She gives a brilliant performance in this film. In fact, Ingrid Bergman did win an Oscar for Best Actress for her performance in this film. And Ingrid Bergman in this film, she really plays a character slowly starting to lose her mind, slowly starting to go insane, starting to doubt herself. Every time she thinks something is going well, something goes bad, or her husband brings up something, and things just start to get worse and worse for her, and she thinks she's going completely crazy. We also get an appearance from Joseph Cotten in this film. He plays a man working for Scotland Yard, the police, and he comes into the story a bit later, but he's a welcome addition to the film, and he's a character who maybe we as the audience can relate to a bit more because he's trying to find out what exactly is going on here, and we also delve into the murder case which happened 10 years previously a bit more, which is quite interesting to go and look back on that. And he's a character who really wants to delve into the clues, delve into the evidence and find out exactly what the answer is to what we want to know as the audience when watching this as well, without giving too much away. So he's a very interesting character, but he has come into the film quite late and maybe isn't a character as explored as some of the other characters in this film. So one of the things that I really like about this film is the use of lighting. So we get lots of shadows in this film, which obviously add with the darker, mysterious theme of the film. And in my opinion, it really does help that this film is in black and white as well. Obviously, if it was filmed in colour, it would have to do with the colours toned down quite a bit to add to the mystery element of it. But with the shadows it really helps. For instance, we get a few scenes where the camera just lingers on the same area, but the characters might walk out of the shot, but we can just see their shadow against the wall and their silhouette, and that's a really nice touch. There wasn't very much about this film that I didn't like, to be honest. There is one scene which sticks out which I didn't like very much, and that was a scene where rear projection is used. Now if you guys have watched any old films before, you know that they often use rear projections in scenes when characters are driving a car, for example, and just be a rear projection screen, and it's really obvious they're just using the screen. Now there wasn't any real scenes like that in particular, but there was just one very brief scene when Paula and Gregory, Ingrid Bergman and Charles Boyer, they're walking towards the screen and there's a rear projection right behind them, and it doesn't seem necessary at all because a few seconds later they were walking in a park, and it was just filmed as a normal scene, and then it changed to the camera shot and all of a sudden there's this rear projection and the projection's moving up and down as they're walking, and I just found the bit very distracting, and it was meant to be quite an interesting tense scene. That kind of lost me a little bit, and which is a bit of a shame, but you know, they do this in old films, so I can forgive it slightly, but it just seemed unnecessary. I also do really like the music in this film as well. It's very subtle the way it's done. It's often just in the background, it's not very loud, but it does build the tension up quite nicely and makes for a very suspenseful film. This is almost a bit like an Alfred Hitchcock film in a way, and it certainly goes in with that era of that 1940s theme of a husband starting to drive her wife insane, and well, the husband having control over the wife. We get quite a few other films like this in the 1940s. Laura is another good one, and also there's other Alfred Hitchcock films like Suspicion, Rebecca, Shadow of a Doubt, which are similar in their themes. But overall, I had never seen this film before, and I was very impressed with it. I thought it was a very good thriller, certainly kept me interested. I wanted to keep watching it to find out where it was heading. I would say perhaps once it gets to the end, it probably is a little bit predictable what is going to happen, but still I was very happy with the way the film ended. I thought it paid off very nicely and made for a very satisfactory conclusion. So overall, I think Gaslight is a very good thriller, very good psychological thriller, and in fact the story, although this is actually based on a play originally, the term gaslighting actually comes from the story and this film, which is when someone starts to doubt their own behaviour, and this is obviously what happens with Ingrid Bergman's character in the film. So I'm going to give Gaslight a rating of 9 out of 10. I think it's well worth checking out, especially if you like psychological thrillers or just films in this era, to be honest, and I still think it's a very watchable film today. So that is Gaslight. So there we go. So have you guys seen Gaslight? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Please let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.